Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Build Your Best Life. I'm Coach Deborah, and we are here tonight for Let's Talk About It. I'm here with my sister, Carol Crockett, all the way from Dallas, Texas. Hello, Carol.
Hey sis, how are you? And Happy New Year to everybody.
Happy New Year. I am doing wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Glad to see you. First time
Absolutely.
in the new year.
First time in the new year.
Yes,
But thank God for the new year, right?
that's right. Yeah, we made it.
We made it. We made it. Yes, indeed.
Yes. And thank you to everyone out there that's you and Build Your Best Life, to all our sponsors, our fans, our friends, all those that are commenting, sharing, liking, and praying for Build Your Best Life. We really appreciate you. And as usual, we have what we feel is a great topic tonight. But I want to start out by saying what kind of spurred the topic that we have for tonight. But I was going through some things and I found this article uh, about, it was in a newspaper, about this man, older gentleman, that would go to this restaurant every day for a cup of gumbo.
hmm
And he began to get to know the guy that was the chef because he would come out and talk with him. But he was just an everyday uh, stationary, person that you would see in that restaurant every single day. And so it came about one day they didn't see him. Okay, so it was one day. And then another day they didn't see him. And the chef was like, "No, something's wrong. He comes every day." So he found out where he lived. He knew he lived within walking distance of the restaurant, but he found out where he lived and he went to his house. He knocked, he didn't get an answer. He waited, knocked again, and he kept listening. And then he heard something and he turned the door, and luckily the door was not locked. But the gentleman had fallen in the house and could not move. But then I began to think about, not just a physical hurt, because of course he had broken some ribs and did some damage by him being older. But that could be the same situation with someone that is struggling with depression,
hmm
mental health, they're elderly, they don't have any family members. If nobody is thinking about them, nobody cares, what do they do? So that's what kind of got me looking at the topic that we have today. And as you listen to us, you'll kind of get it as we go along. Good evening, Agnes and Deacon Holmes. Thank you for tuning in. So our topic actually is don't suffer in silence. Don't suffer in silence. But because we're living in a time where there are a lot of people that are hurting, not just seniors. We have middle age, uh, young adults, teenagers, even children that are suffering. They may be suffering from mental illness, as I stated before, depression, anxiety, and emotional pain. But our young men, mental illness is striking them at an alarming level. And too many are suffering alone. They don't feel like it's something that they can have a discussion with someone else. So we're going to talk about some of those things, why they think they have to keep it to themselves, or do they have anyone that they can share it with? But, the strength isn't about pretending that you're okay. A lot of times you ask people, how are you? Oh, I'm okay. I'm okay. You don't have to do that. That doesn't make you any stronger. That doesn't help you get better. Scripture tells us to carry one another's burdens, and that's exactly what we're talking about today. While reaching out matters, how checking on others can save lives, and how young men can build brotherhood instead of being in isolation.
Yeah.
What do you think, Carol?
Well, like you said, such a great topic. I just want to share my mother's, I told you 95 will be 96. And a couple of times this year she's fallen, but she don't want you to say she fell, but she really did fall. But anyway, but thank God we had a medical alert for her that she was able to contact. But The one thing we often hear a couple of times that the medical people had come in, or even when our nurses come by, they always talk about how that there have been older people who have fallen, and they are there for 3 and 4 and 5 days, and nobody anything about it, because they live alone, and like you said, they've been in isolation. Nobody really checks on them, and so just kind of a sad commentary. And the nurses and everybody always remind us that we're blessed to have enough sibling support to support, to go by and help mom, and know somebody's going to come by. But like you said, I thought the article you said that prompted you was such a great article about how important it is that we do reach out. We see where we can help. We see where just take notice sometimes of people who seem to be isolated or alone, and just even we'll talk a little bit more about that, but just even getting to know them, starting a conversation. Sometimes it's just as easy as saying hello, how are you doing, and start trying to build relationship, because God did not intend for us to be in this world all alone. He intended for us to have community and have family and fellowship. So I think we got a great topic, sis, to talk about tonight, because it is so meaning, like you said. And then with our young adults and young people, sometimes I always kind of go back to this, but computers and all these things that make them isolate themselves can put them in a place where if there's really something going on, they built this time of just being alone, and then they think that maybe they're the only person that's going through this, or they just feel like nobody really cares. So
Right.
just an opportunity for us to shed a little bit more light on this subject, and hopefully by the time we end, we'll encourage someone to reach out to someone and care about someone. Mhm.
Yes, most definitely. So please make sure that you share because this is some information that we're going to be talking about that can help everyone, regardless of your age, your gender, your
Mhm.
background. We all need one another, believe me.
Mhm.
So we're going to talk about, and there's many aspects to this, don't suffer alone, but we're going to hit about 4 different areas tonight. And I'm going to start out with the first one, which is pain is more common than we think.
Mm.
Pain doesn't always look like, I'll say, tears or breakdowns or an obvious struggle that you can just see. Oh, that person's going through. You don't always see that. More often is silence.
Mhm.
They're not saying anything. They try to make light of everything. Oh, how you doing? I hadn't seen you in a while. Where you been? Oh, I was just in the house.
Yeah.
Okay. But is this someone that's been outgoing, outside, taking care of flowers or plants or getting their
Mhm.
mail, putting their trash can in the yard, and all of a sudden you see the trash cans out there, it's not moving, the mail is piling up, you don't see them outside? Think about that. Something could be going on. Sometimes people will overwork themselves when they get down in a rut. They show anger more prevalently. They may
Mm.
withdraw, or they just pretend everything is fine. Oh, I'm good, girl. I'm good. You know how this, you've gone to lunch with somebody for a while and they always got this healthy appetite, and you go to lunch and they don't order anything, and you're just like, you good? You okay? You want something? You need something? Oh, I'm good. I'm fasting. And they're not fasting. They've gotten themselves in a rut for whatever reason, maybe nothing due to anything they've done, but they don't have the money. But instead of reaching out and saying, my light bill was just a little bit too high this month and I've had to cut back, so I really don't have money to eat out today,
Mhm.
and I didn't think about bringing any lunch or whatever. It's okay, because you never know when whatever's going to happen to someone. Speak up. Don't keep all that inside. And I know a lot of times, people will throw shade and talk about you or whatever, but that's not on you. That's on them. Because if they ask, you see that they need help and you help, somebody helps you, then if they want to go out and talk about it, that's between them and God, because that's not why he allows us to help people. So you have to speak up.
Mm-hmm.
And then social media and cultural pressure makes all of this worse, because when people get on there, and what people don't put on social media when they're struggling, when they're not feeling bad, when their mental health is on the edge or anything like that, they only put what? The best things out there. So then you have someone that's struggling and they're looking like, oh, everybody else is having fun. They have lots of money. They get to go on trips.
Mm-hmm.
They're able to give this and that and this to their children. They're having all these nice parties for their kids. They're having big bashes for Christmas. I don't have that.
Mm-hmm.
They probably don't either. You don't know if they're going in debt to do all of that. But because people put all that type stuff on social media and not everything, then it gives some people a perception of things that are not true. And if you're already suffering, then that makes you sometimes feel a little worse. Our young men, especially, find a lot of pain with a couple things. One is academic or career pressure. You know, they want to go to college, but they're struggling in school. They don't want their boys to know that they're struggling. You know, their friends may be just smart, just look at a book and absorb it. So they don't want them to know that they're struggling. So they don't say anything. You got to speak up.
Yeah.
Man, I'm not getting this algebra 2. This geometry is just kicking my butt. You know, can you help me? They can help you. You can go to your teachers. That's what they're for. They're not going to sit there and give you a grade, but they will help you. And that's what you need. So don't keep it bottled inside. If you're having financial stress, you know, you're living in a one-parent home and you don't have what everybody else has. You don't have to. And you'll be fine. Believe me, I've been there, done that. You know, my mom was struggling. We didn't have much. I wanted one thing for Christmas. And now that I look back, I know she had to struggle to get that one thing, but she got me that one thing and I was satisfied. So you don't have to have 10 and 15 things and things that are all so expensive. If all she could do is make you some cookies or something, y'all were together, you had your health. Sometimes you have to go along with that. You're going to have good days and bad days, but work together as a family unit. And just know that everything you're seeing out there, all your friends bragging about, oh, I got this and this and this and this and this. Their parents might have got them one thing, but they might have got something from this person over here, that person over there, something from the church, something from a grandparent. You don't know, but you can't let those type things bring you down. You gotta, you know, wake up. Hey, I'm here. Be grateful. Thank you, Lord. I thank you for giving me all my needs. You get them once one day, but you have to do those type things. So when we understand that pain is common, you're not the only one. Other people are going through it. And if you need help, ask.
Got to.
Ask.
That is so good. Yes. Wow. Well, my part of this that I'm going to talk about is isolation makes struggles heavier. And I just think sometimes we might need to distinguish between isolation and solitude, because there is a difference, you know. So isolation is not solitude, because solitude is a healthy alone time. But isolation is a state of being separated from people physically or emotionally, and it is marked by a social contact of meaningful relationships. You know, you don't want to be connected with people who you had meaningful relationships with. But isolation doesn't heal pain. It only magnifies it. You just talked about that pain. And so when we put ourselves in isolation and we are making the effort to put ourselves away from everybody, not being connected emotionally, you know, it's not just physically, but emotionally we isolate. You can actually be sitting in the same place with someone and you're still disconnected because you emotionally isolated yourself. You're not hearing anything. anything you're saying. You can be talking to somebody and you'll say, "Did you hear me?" And they don't have a clue
Right.
about what you're saying. And so even those kinds of things are a way that we have to look at the fact that isolation doesn't always heal the pain, but it magnifies it. And sometimes when people suffer alone, their thoughts often become louder. Isn't that amazing? Their thoughts are louder
Mm.
and more negative. So sometimes because sometimes we'll label people about being, oh, she's so negative. She's
Mm.
always talking down. But
Yeah.
maybe we need to listen a little closer to see what that loud noise is really about. Is it where a person is struggling with being isolated? And sometimes they don't know, they don't really know what to say, or they're saying, and that could be a sure sign that they are screaming loud from their thoughts, and we might need to pay attention to that.
Wow.
And without a healthy voice speaking truth, a healthy voice need to be speaking the truth, need to speaking truth. Fear, shame, and hopelessness can take control. If that's all they hear in isolation is the negative, that all they hear is, I always say, the lies of the enemy in their mind.
Right.
They don't have any truth. Sometimes it's coupled with fear, lots of shame. And then the last part of that is that hopelessness. When people
Mm.
get to hopelessness, you think that we have to really be careful about looking and making sure that they are suffering, because sometimes when people get to that state, that they're hopelessness, that creates another problem. It creates some mental health issues. It also, we have to be careful about, we know suicide in our young adults, and suicide period is just rampant right now.
Yes.
So things that we can look at. This quote I read today, it says, "The heaviest burdens are the ones we never speak." So when people are not talking and pulling themselves away and withdrawing from people, those are sure signs that you might need to reach out and try to interact, or try to get conversation going, get them talking. And for many young men, isolation shows up so many ways. It shows up. Number one, pulling away from friends and family. That's a sure sign. If they've been actively connected and actively involved, and all of a sudden, like I said, social media, isolating in their rooms, angry when you come in the room and say something to them. They just don't want to interact with anyone.
Right.
Spending excessive time alone. And that's the one I think is one of the worst. Time alone, locked up in a room with nothing but being online. Who,
Mm.
where's the communication? Where's the interaction? Where's the people connection? And so sometimes they do get caught up with what's online, and then even if somebody on TikTok or whatever don't like what you say, then sometimes they take that as an offense. And then avoiding conversations about their feelings. And like you said, young men are sometimes they don't want to express their feeling. But I think even in adult men, sometimes they always say, women, we got so much to say. Men don't have very much to say.
Mm.
So sometimes it's that's how, men just sometimes don't express themselves as easily as we do, because we're chatterboxes sometimes, some of us. And then using direct distractions instead of dealing with the pain. That's huge. You know, uh, you're hurting, but one I know for sure is that you want to be a jokester. You
Right.
put that joking out there to cover up the pain. You don't want anybody to look, internally, or figure out what's going on. So you as kids, you might want to become the class clown because there's something going on. Like you were talking about, if somebody got a whole lot of things for Christmas, and maybe that they didn't get the kinds of things that they thought for whatever reason, it's easy to stand up and be the clown, or draw attention away from what's really going on with you, so you can put it at somebody else. And sometimes it even get to the point that they may joke about somebody else's situation, trying to make them feel bad. And I think even bullies sometimes could fit under that situation. There's some other stuff going on. But the danger of isolation is that it convinces people they are alone, they're unloved, or beyond help. That's that hopelessness coming in. And over
Mhm.
time, this can lead to deep depression, destructive behavior, and even thoughts of giving up. And so when we see young men pulling back or young men really acting out, sometimes we have to look above what we see on the surface level and begin to see if there can be some conversation of opening up. And it may take time because they may not always come forward and be upfront and say what's really going on. So some deeper things going on that we have to be very conscious about. But connection doesn't erase the problem. So we need to figure out ways to connect, but it lightens the load. And the connection could be that it is that one person that just needs to know someone really cares.
Yeah.
And I do believe that before you get to the deep root of it, you're going to have some outbursts, some behaviors that you may not want to, deal with.
It
But
will.
that's still a way of covering up what's really going on. So we have to I think we have to be thick skinned, not thin skinned,
That's right.
because in the end, they may hurt your feelings, but you still have to, continue to press on. And just sometimes having someone to listen, and we cannot discount prayer and praying for them, or simply just sit with you and remind you that your pain doesn't define you. That pain that you're feeling doesn't define the real purpose and identity that God really has for that person or for that child. So, but it is that it helps, that help is possible. So just reaching out, trying to connect when you see those behaviors, outbursts, not spending time using distraction to deal with the pain. Those are indicators that maybe there's an underlying surface going on. And this is the way that they're isolating, in a sense, so you won't come near, come closer, dig deeper, So, yeah,
Right. That's good. Yeah, don't get too close because you might really see what's going on.
you might. And you have to be ready to, if you get that close, you have to be willing to, you have to be able to deal with that, or you have to be able to know how far you're going to go, because it may be that you might be the person that's planted that seed, and you might have to get some extra help somewhere else, and you can't be afraid to say, or make yourself feel like you got to go all the way. Sometimes, what did it say, some of us gonna plant, some gonna water, but we have to wait on the Lord to do the increase.
That's right. Amen. Well, if you have just joined us, we are talking about don't suffer in silence. It's not too late to share with someone so that they can get this information. We thank those of you who are on. Agnes, see Deacon Holmes, Dan, thank y'all for tuning in. But please share. If you have any comments, we will be glad to see them in the comment section. And we got two more little topics that we want to hit on. And the next one is reaching out is strength, not weakness. Because a lot
Mhm.
of times we don't reach out because we think that makes you look weak, but that's not true. True strength is not pretending that you're okay.
Mhm.
How are you? And I know sometimes, that's just being cordial, say, hello, how are you? But for the most part, people really do care. Many people do care. I'll put it that
Right.
way. So
Mhm.
when they say, how are you? Be honest. If
Yeah.
you are hurting, you don't know, if you're going to make it beyond the day, if you've been thinking about taking your own life or hurting someone else, you just, well, you don't even have to go that deep, but start somewhere. I really do need to talk with someone. I've been feeling a certain type way, and I need to talk. Well, did you have time? Well, this is what's been going on with me. And you can begin that way. You don't have to, go deep when you first start out, but
Mhm.
start somewhere. So but you can guarantee that when a young man reaches out, that he is being sincere. He's not playing, trying to get attention. He's sincere. but he is taking responsibility for his mental and emotional health. And our young men, our young women, older men and women, we all need to, they used to always say, take care of your body, drink water, get exercise. You got not only have to take care of your physical body, you have got to take care of your mental health.
You do.
Got to rest, get that quiet time, that me time, that meditate, pray. You've got to do those type things. And you got something going on in your mind, you can't stop it. There's feelings that you don't like, you don't really know where it's coming from. You've got to talk to somebody. And if that person cannot help you, they will more than likely guide you to someone who can assist. But you have got to choose, I want to get better, over your pride. Well, I don't want anybody to know what's going on with me. And I know this is going to sound harsh, but think about it. Do you really want, you're suffering so bad, you're having these thoughts, do you really want to hurt yourself or hurt your family members before you get help? Or do you want to get some help because you really love them and you want to find out, why am I thinking these things? Why am I feeling this way? I need help. I don't know about you, but hopefully I will ask for some help first. I want help because I know I love myself some Deborah, and I love myself some Nan and my kids and them 7 heartbeats. Oh my goodness. So I know I want to be in a good place to help them rather than hurting them. So just remember that reaching out doesn't mean that you fail, you just lost it. But God has given me skills, He's given me discernment. He's put people around me that can hurt me, but He's also put people around me that can help me.
Exactly.
But I gotta let them know that I need help. So is it that parent, or is it that parent the one that's hurting you? Grandparents, you got maybe have uncles, you have teachers, you got mentors, you got your sports coaches, you got people that are in school with you. Because sometimes you can talk to your friend, hey, I got this going on, and they'll help you. Because I know my son, my youngest son, he's like, hey, mom, got this situation, and can they come to our house? Yeah. God's blessed me, so I'm here to help people.
Right.
So speak up, find somebody and let them know what's going on, that you're hurting and you find yourself lost and you don't know what's going to happen to you, because it may be like somebody is abusing you. Well, I, for one, would rather for you to tell somebody, hey, this is going on and I need to get out of that situation, rather than you running away, knowing what you not knowing what you're running into. This is where all this human trafficking stuff and women and men getting trafficked comes from. So go tell somebody that can help you. Don't just run away. Please, 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 please. And if I could say one thing, it would be strength is knowing when to stand up and say, hey, I need help. And when just keep it to yourself, and that's never. So
not ever to keep it to yourself. My next part of this, Deborah, is almost kind of what you started us out with the great article about, I think the man was 78 years old, but small acts of kindness, or small acts can save lives. And so I just even thought about, small acts of kindness, how that can just tie in with what we're talking about. But many people don't need grand speeches or perfect answers. They just need presence. Small, consistent acts of care can interrupt someone's darkest moment and remind them that they matter. It's so important. We all like to feel like we belong somewhere. And so when we can just turn around and we understand how we function and how important it is that we feel loved and we feel cared about, we want to be able to, like they say, pass that on. And so people like I said, they're suffering, they're in pain, they don't want to stand up and say anything. But it's those little bitty small things that can save that person's life. If that young man and that gentleman who was 78 hadn't developed a relationship, he was young, the other man was old, who would have thought that they could have developed the type of relationship? And I always think we don't ever want to say that we can't receive something from someone else. So we can, it can be a two-way street when we're thinking about small acts that can save our lives. So we are so busy. You and I talked about that today, about just life and being busy, and how we sometimes really, like you said, take time and rest, take time and close this mind down. And because what they say, a mind is a terrible thing to waste, but also sometimes we have to learn how to close it down, because we have to know how to distinguish between good thoughts and bad thoughts,
Right.
And so, but anyway, just look for ways. I was looking at something. It says no act of kindness, no matter how small, is ever wasted. So little bitty acts of the young man sitting down talking to him led to a long friendship. And of course, I love the way the article ended, because they moved the man closer and bought him gumbo for the rest for the whole time he's there. But there were other people working there, but it's just he built that relationship with them. And
Mhm.
so and he began to be concerned about his friend not showing up. And we can't take anything for granted. Like you say, one day maybe, but 2 and 3 days, that ought to set out an alarm in us. But sometimes we think that I don't have anything to give. We always want to think about it from a monetary perspective, but so many small things we can do to help save somebody's life. You know, just sending them a note, a text. I'm just checking on you. How hard is that? Checking
Right.
in or checking on you, or making time to listen. And then here's the key. They want they want to talk if they're talking, but are we listening, or are we listening, trying to hear them, find a way to give them an answer or work out the problem? Sometimes we just need to listen. And I love that we don't listen to find fault or to be judgmental. We just listen. And sometimes listening is just the hearer just being quiet and just hearing what that person have to say. And then sometimes just inviting someone to sit and eat or talk, um, just just to sit down. Let me take a minute. What are you doing? Okay, let's just chat for a moment. That means we have to slow down as well and be able to see the people that need us to just sit and talk. Sometimes, Deborah, you might need to have somebody to sit down and talk. Sit so you can talk and so
Right.
you can eat. But
Right.
anyway, but that's a great way to think about how important the conversation is. I know we're in this world now where we don't touch and do too much hugging, but I'm telling you, sometime I've got some people in my church, and they can get I think Tasha has been on your program, and we always say, if you want a good hug that's gonna crack your back, you want her to hug you, because she hugs. I mean, she really hugs. And so just a hug, or you know a pat on the back, how you doing, or something like that. All of those are just small things we can do. And we never, like we say, can underestimate the power of prayer. And I don't mean just say, girl, I'm gonna pray for it. No, I've been convicted, and sometimes I have to watch myself with that too.
Mhm.
Just stop and pray. Doesn't have to be long and drawn out and calling down the clouds and stuff like that. Just a soft prayer to
Yeah.
say you're praying for them. Or how can I pray for you is a good one to kind of lead you into that. If you're talking to them, how can I pray for you today? What is it that you're believing God for? What is it that you need today?
All right.
And then noticing changes in behavior, and then responding with care. You see somebody who's uh, uh, doing something even better. I mean, little small things. Oh, maybe one day they didn't have a nice shirt on, and the next day they come with a better shirt on, or you see some changes, little bitty changes, or they're combing their hair when they wasn't combing their hair, and they said hello when they haven't ever spoke. So little bitty things that you notice that they are trying to make a change in their behavior. But you may never know the full impact of a small act. Like we were saying, it's those small kind things. They're never wasted.
That's
And
right.
so, but that doesn't make it insignificant. So what feels small to you could be life-saving to someone else. And so God often uses ordinary people doing ordinary things to create extraordinary changes in people's lives. So we want to make sure that we are looking for ways to just, little small acts of things that we can do to encourage uh, uh, anyone that you feel like is isolated. I almost hate to see a person if it's a gathering or a group of, if you're in training or something like that. I hate to see one person sitting by themselves. We're
Yeah.
sitting with other people. So that just something I'm very conscious about, and so I'll try to go over and say say something. So sometimes people appreciate that. I'm gonna tell this, and we're gonna go. But I used to be an usher at this other church that I had gone to, and girl, I didn't know nothing about usher, and they just asked me to get on the usher board. I told them yes, and so that was my very early stage of ushering, and I didn't really know what to do. But anyway, our church, we had to build a bigger sanctuary at that time, but it was in a small sanctuary, so we had an overflow. And so the ushers, we just sat outside the sanctuary because it wasn't anywhere for us to sit. And the lady was leaving. I don't even remember what I said or how I approached her or whatever, but she left out the door, came back in and said, I really appreciate you talking to me and saying something to me, because you were the first person and the only person that said anything to me since I've been here. That crushed me, and I was like to the ushers, y'all, we got to do better. We get an usher, but we need to be inviting and
Right.
making sure we're speaking to people, and because we really we are the first impression. So anyway, you just I never thought that just saying something, I don't even know what I said, but it was impactful enough for her to come back and say thank you for saying something to me. So minor to me, but maybe huge to her, and we just don't know how those things can make a big difference in someone else's life. And I think that's what we want to be about, and we want to be encouraging. I know I love the gift. That's one of my gifts, is a gift of encouraging, and I'm grateful for that, because I used to think it was a very small gift. The Lord has helped me realize that it's okay, because guess what? The encourager sometimes need to be encouraged. So I do appreciate the encouragement.
Yeah, and you looked at it. Well, it was to some it might have been a small act, but to you, you did it so naturally. So you can see why God put you on that usher board. You said you didn't know what to do. You didn't know anything about ushering.
Not a
You had
clue.
that right spirit to be there.
Not a clue. Still don't know the signals they supposed to do, but they could never teach me that. But anyway, yeah.
Awesome. That is good. I love that. I love that kind of thing, because you never know. Sometimes you hug somebody and there's something you like. You might be a hugger, but that may be the only hug they get until they
Yeah,
see you again.
exactly.
So
Yeah.
you never know. And that hug can make the difference in somebody taking their lives, going home and doing something they shouldn't do. You never know. But we
Yeah.
have to be kind to other people.
We have
We
to
have to
be.
speak to them, smile, even if they don't return it. Hello, how are you? Glad to see you. Haven't seen you in a while. But just those little words can mean a lot to some people.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And what is that saying about people don't care people don't care how much you know, but they care how much, what is it? People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care,
Okay.
or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes,
So yeah.
exactly. And
Hmm.
that's so true. So thank you for those kind words, and we hope that you enjoyed this.
Hmm.
Uh, but just remember that just because someone is quiet or they're distant, they may be struggling. So reach out, do a little what little act that you can do. If they reach out to you, do what you can do,
Yeah.
or show them the right direction to go. But remember, strong men ask for help.
Yeah.
So asking for help does not make you weak. So if you think you need help, by all means, please seek that help. Or
Yeah.
I just say I need to talk to you.
Yeah.
If you don't want to talk to anybody else, you can always go in your closet and talk to God.
Talk to Jesus.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So again, thank you so much for tuning in. And this is the first second Saturday of 2026
Hmm.
on the 10th, this Saturday, conversation with the guys, and they are going to be talking about manhood isn't automatic. So
Oh,
all y'all that say, "Oh, my boy gonna be all right," all the boys is growing to men. No, they don't just automatically growing to men. You got to teach them some stuff.
teach him some
Now you
stuff.
got to tune in 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is 8:30 in Texas and Central Time Zone, and check out Manhood Isn't Automatic.
Yes.
You will enjoy it. So pass the word because they always have some hot topics and some
Some
hot
hot topics.
conversations.
Huh?
Yes. So do you have anything you need to share before we leave, Carol?
No, just from our topic, I just want them to know that isolation is not solitude, and we have to be able to distinguish those two. Solitude is chosen, and it's an opportunity for restoration. But isolation is often a negative, and sometimes it's a negative force. And so we want to make sure that we know the difference. And then when we know the difference and we see the difference in solitude and isolation, then we know isolation is a cry for some little small acts of little small acts may save somebody's life. So we be a little bit more conscious about watching people and caring about them and seeing if there's any changes, and just know that one word we say, there we go with a word, one word we can say can change somebody's life.
All right. All right. Well, thank you all so much for tuning in. Remember, Saturday, tune in to Manhood Isn't Automatic. And then we hope to see you back here again on Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Blueprint for Success.
Mm.
Remember, building your best life is our business. That's not a slogan, it's our commitment. I love you. Be blessed. Stay safe. See you later, sis.
All right, have a good one.
Bye.
Bye bye.